am Laura Munson, host of Parent Boss Leader PBL podcast. Really excited to have a very special guest with us today, Henry Guevara. He has been a Navy SEAL for 27 years, has some incredible stories to share with us about his time in the military, also as a parent, and he'll be coming out of the military in 6 weeks. So really wanted to hear where he wants to go in his career and to share with the world who he is. So Henry, I really wanted to talk to you a little bit about your background with the Navy. Was that always your plan, or what inspired you to join?
Yeah, so I grew up in an army town, El Paso, Texas, so home to Fort Bliss. I've always had this sort of patriotic sense to me. I really had a passion for the military. You know, their crisp uniforms, their demeanor, and it just really struck a sense of the one of the purest forms of service and sacrifice for our nation and for our people. So I knew from a young age that I wanted to be in the military, but it wasn't until high school when I started to wrestle that I started to see some parallels between, you know, the wrestling team and the Navy SEALs, just very small elite type of groups. They're very, very focused, very success driven. So that's where I really started to do a little bit more research. During the 90s, there was not much to be found on the Navy SEALs. Almost wish it was that way as today, but yeah, so it was really hard. Picked up a few books, a few novels, read up on them, and I knew that this is where I wanted to be. I wanted to continue on and be in that small elite group that really pushed themselves hard, were really goal oriented, and had this higher sense of purpose.
Wow, it is so admirable. How was it for your family when you shared with them that you were going to join the Navy?
They didn't know what to make of it. They were definitely they were proud of the decision to serve our country, but they really valued education. They wanted me to go to college and maybe join the military after college. But you know, I was just at a very young age, and there was no telling me no at that time. This is what I wanted to do until my heart really felt like it was the right thing to do. So
That's cool.
At the end of the day, they supported me. They've been supporting me for the last 27 years. They're really proud of this decision.
Yeah. That's impressive. So what everybody would want to know is, what was it like being a Navy SEAL?
Yeah, it's hard work. It's a lot of hard work. There's a saying in the teams. It's a saying that you hear throughout training. It's not a 9-to-5 job. It's a lifestyle. So
Yeah.
You're constantly working. You're constantly training. You're always working on your equipment, your gear. Even when you're not training, you're in the gym, working out, trying to maintain that physical ability.
Mm-hmm.
It's just non-ending. So that's why it truly is a lifestyle. It can wear down on you if you allow it to.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. What do you think when you really, as you started as a Navy SEAL and progressed, what was that like? What are different roles that you sort of played over the years?
Like any other organization, you're going to start off at an entry level position.
Yeah.
So you're going to be responsible or be under someone's watchful eye, right? So you'll be responsible for a few items. You'll definitely be responsible for your own gear.
Mm-hmm.
And as you earn trust, as you develop skills and operational experience, your scope of responsibility begins to expand. Your scope of leadership responsibility also begins to expand. So you go from maybe leading a 4-man team to you're now leading a 7-man or 8-person team, right?
Yeah.
Eventually for myself, I ended up moving all the way up to managing and leading organizations of up to 300 personnel.
Wow.
And these are a joint personnel, so Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, civilians, military.
Wow. That's incredible. Do you have any, I guess, stories you'd like to share from your time as a SEAL? Is there any specific, I guess, instant that would be really interesting for people to hear about?
Yeah, there's what you really don't see is there's such a humanity to the SEALs, right? And you really don't see that in some of the movies, TV shows, or maybe even read about it. But there's this very humane side to our military, to our special operations forces. And what you don't see is on the backside, they are out there meeting with a lot of people. They're doing everything they can to just better and improve the lives of a lot of these very vulnerable, disadvantaged communities. Anything from helping to study with them, play soccer with them. And that's always really stuck in the back of my mind. It's just
Yeah, that is, I know when we were talking in conversations before, I loved hearing that, because you're right. There's always the Hollywood perception of what a Navy SEAL is. And everyone thinks, wow, action movies, so cool. But you really don't get to see the human side and how much SEALs really do care for the community around them. I thought that was really beautiful when you shared that. It really helps, I think, people connect more hearing that. So wanted to know a little bit. We partner with the Honor Foundation, and I know that you are affiliated with the Honor Foundation as well. Amazing organization that helps special ops folks transition from the military. Wanted to know why now? Why now is the time that you're ready to transition?
Well, it's been 27 years, and my sons are starting to go into their teenage years, and these are their formative years of development. And I really want to be there for them. They've sacrificed so much so that I can fulfill my dream. It's time for me to give back to them. I've been developing high performance teams, developing individuals, junior and senior SEAL leadership. I need to invest equally into my children. I truly believe that, especially young boys growing up to be men, like they really need that strong father figure, and I need to be there for them.
That is very inspiring. And that really leads me into some of my next questions about being a parent. Could you tell us a little bit about your family?
Yeah, so I've got two boys. Unfortunately in 2011, I went through a divorce, and so I was a single parent for 10 years. And recently, it was a challenge, but it really brought me back to what really mattered, was the quality time that I had with my children, as opposed to the quantity of it. My two boys and I really got close to each other, because every moment that we spent together, I really made it count. I just, in this line of work, you don't know if you're gonna have another day. So I really made it count. Recently, I recently remarried. I've met this really beautiful woman.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So my wife Maria and I were raising our children together. She's really been a cornerstone of our lives, in mine and my children's lives, and hopefully I'm as well in her and her daughter's lives.
That's amazing. So can you tell me a little bit about how being a Navy SEAL has shaped your parenting as well?
Yeah, so they both parallel each other. Early on, I was told, and I really have adopted that principle of, if you treat your people like you would your own children, you can't go wrong.
Wow.
So having children has developed, anybody that's raised children knows that it takes a lot of patience. So it really develops a lot of patience in you. But a lot of
I'm patient at home, I promise. True.
But a lot of it is, I think, because you see yourself in your children. You see when, their personality traits, you see, when they act out, you can see yourself in them at that young age. You're like, I used to be that way, or maybe I still am somewhat that way, right? And so you start to develop this patience with them. It's like, okay, somebody had enough patience with me. I have to have enough patience with my children. So likewise with your young junior sailors, when they do things, you see yourself in them when you were that age, when you were that junior in your military career. And so you have this very parental style approach, and you have an understanding too. Your children, 90% of the time, your children are upset with you. They don't like you. You're their worst thing in their lives. But the reason is because you're always trying to keep them safe from themselves. Right. So the same thing with and they don't see that, and eventually they get to grow. Eventually, your children and same thing with your younger, in my case, my younger SEALs,
Mhm.
you see them grow, you see them develop, you see them get promoted. And when
Yep.
it really is fulfilling when your children or the people that you help mentor, coach, and develop come back to you like, thank you for that. I
Yeah.
didn't see it, I didn't see it then, but thank you for that. I know now why.
Yeah.
And that's been the true reward of being able to do that for my children, likewise for my teammates.
Yeah. No, I think that's incredible sharing and such good advice too. The patience part and kids really being like us, seeing parts of ourselves in them. I think that's very good advice too. Kind
Yeah.
of being patient and seeing them as little humans. And I love the part that you said about raising them to be good men, and now the stepdaughters you have, raising them up. That's very inspiring. Um, I guess I wanted to know a little bit as you transition now from being a SEAL to coming into the work world. What do you think are the really unique skills that you would bring to the table for a future employer?
Yeah, 27 years of leading across a variety of different personalities, variety of different cultures, um,
Mm-hmm.
different value systems. The military is unique in the fact that you have people from all walks of life. You have people
Mm-hmm.
that have, you know, grown up from very impoverished, other folks that have come in, very financially secure,
Yep.
high school educated people.
Mm-hmm.
I've had guys that are PhD
Yep.
grad. And how do you bring those all of these different mindsets, personalities, and experience, and create a singular focus, right, for the organization, for themselves, and it's challenging,
Yeah.
but having developed those interpersonal skills, uh, the communication skills, and then
Mm-hmm.
just really having a deep sense of being able to relate to somebody else. How can I create
Mm-hmm.
a true deep relation with other people and create that
Mm-hmm.
trust? So trust is something that the military really and deeply, that is our biggest currency, is trust.
Yeah.
We have to trust in one another. We have to develop that trust with our civilian leadership,
Yeah.
our people. But
No, I absolutely. I think that you bring so many skills to the table that a lot of future employers may not even see or realize from looking at your resume. Like
right,
even just hearing you led 300 groups of people at one point. That's incredible. That many
yeah,
different personalities. And, that's huge thinking of you as a future leader in the workplace as well.
yeah, and I'll throw a quick plug in for our young SEAL leaders, our platoon commanders.
Mhm.
Our platoon commanders are around 26 years old.
Yeah.
Almost right out of high school, or excuse me, out of college, and they are leading organizations up to 300 personnel themselves as well too. They
Wow.
are not only American organizations, but they are leading our foreign partners as well too.
International.
So and these are what normally would be your entry level people, and
Wow.
they are, if you could accredit some of the working environments that we work under, a lot of our folks coming out of the military would be leaving the military with at least a master's level education in organizational management, leadership, uh,
Yep.
communication, conflict resolution. These are the skills that our veterans are leaving the military with.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, myself coming from the recruiting industry, whenever I see military resumes, I literally think there are so many jobs, so many different career paths, because as a Navy SEAL, you're constantly figuring out foreign situations and new situations daily, that really applying those skills in the workplace, you just are constantly figuring out how to get the job done with what information you have. So I'd really think, what job can't you do?
Yeah, and to add to that, the military works in very uncertain, complex environments. So
Mm-hmm.
there's always this factor of unknown. There's always this, that hasn't been written. There's no policy for that. There is no other experience that I can draw back from that. I've got to, as we say in the military, I've got to build a plane as we're flying.
Yeah,
Um,
that's probably
and
that's good description.
but that's the confidence that a lot of our veterans lead the military with is okay. Like the biggest worry that I had, and I think I can speak uh, pretty well, as for a lot of veterans, is the biggest concern, the biggest worry that a lot of us have, even in some of the most dangerous environments that we worked under,
Hmm.
wasn't the loss of our lives. It was not doing our jobs.
Wow.
And that, so that's the approach that your veterans will come in with is there's just such worry and concern that they won't be able to, that they won't be able to do their job, that they're going to let the people next to them down. They're going to let their leadership down. And
Wow.
they really work hard to make the organization good. They're very loyal, and they're very selfless.
Yeah. No, I think it's incredible. Whenever I think employers generally, when they see a military resume, know what caliber is coming in. But I would love folks to take the next step to really be open-minded about maybe you don't fit the exact job description of what they're looking for, but you have the can do from working in, as you said, the complex environment. Um, so I wanted to chat a little bit about Penn State. We're fellow Penn Staters. We
We
are
are.
Penn State. Um, I wanted to see what's your major and what do you think your future passion would be as you're transitioning out in about 6 weeks? Ideally, what would you like to do?
Well, I want to continue to work overseas or just work with our vulnerable communities, whether it be domestically or internationally. Have had a lot of great opportunities to work with those communities. As I mentioned earlier, that's really been a big fulfillment for myself and my career is, being able to help either just one person or one community out at a time and just improving their daily lives, or even long term. But I want to continue to do that. I've reached out and I've been in communication with the Freedom Research Foundation. Were established in 1984 under the Reagan administration. And
Wow.
they really do try to advance American principles, not American democratic values, but American principles. Things that we really do hold true and dear to our hearts, right?
Mhm.
Those are some of our freedoms. Just the freedom of choice, the freedom to vote, the freedom to worship the way we want to worship, right? There's a lot of communities that are very disadvantaged, very vulnerable. Growing up along the U.S.-Mexican border, I got to see and witness a lot of those communities.
Yeah.
There's a nonprofit organization here. It's a bilateral corridor coalition, and they provide a lot of resources, case management, and support
Mhm.
for a lot of young women that have been trafficked for the purpose of prostitution, which is very common along the U.S.-Mexican border.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
really trying to continue to give back to our communities, our global society, and anywhere that I can continue to contribute in that manner.
Yeah. No, I think that's an amazing thing that you want to do. And I know even being in the recruiting industry, I'd really like to help you in any way I can and continue to network you. But I know even as this podcast gets out, just I think folks hearing that's where you want to go, the direction that you really want to give back to the community. So, Henry, thank you so much for meeting with me today. It really was such a pleasure to learn a little bit about your story. It's cool for civilians to hear about what is it like to be a Navy SEAL, and I think you really gave great advice on parenting as well. Also, who you are for a future employer. And it really I think you're an amazing person. And thank you for your service. We're very grateful, especially at ATR. We have a huge military support program. So, we really do just want to thank you for your time and do want to help you in any way we can as well.
No, well, thank you, Laura. Thank you for having me on. It's been an honor to be able to speak to your listeners. But yeah, I don't, if there's ever an opportunity for you to hire some of our veterans, I don't believe that you could go wrong with that.
100% agreed. Thanks, Henry.
Thank you.